Wonderful. So my name is Chris McCann. This YouTube live thing is brand new to me, but I wanted to do something today, which is Martin Luther King Day here in the States, and tomorrow will be the inauguration. Particularly as I'm driving towards building a community via Slack. And the reason that I've chosen Slack for this community is frankly, I'm just tired of Facebook. I don't need another Facebook group in my life. And Slack to me seems like a very straightforward, non-invasive way to be able to communicate with each other as we go through these self-guided exercise and into these monthly calls that we're going to have. So one, what is the community and what are we doing? The community exists to promote self-inquiry and self-examination as a way to live, to truly live and to live well. This opportunity that exists today, because of the polarization that does exist in our world, it's left or right, or QAnon or Antifa, I get those even mixed up. This polarization exists, so I want to build this community of self-inquiry with you. What I noticed in looking at the Capitol incident from 2 weeks ago, and this is true for just about anything where there's a radicalization or an ideology that's spreading, is that they tend to be perfectly intelligent humans. In this case, there's CEOs, Olympic gold medalists, software developers. People are identifying folks that they worked with and tagging them, and they're arrested. And some of these folks are absolutely fucked. They're in trouble. I've got to imagine that they got sucked in, right? Because you go into this confirmation bias via the news and your friends. You follow this energy, you follow this mob mentality, and while thinking that you're going to find meaning or some source of or sense of connection and belonging, across the line, and then whoa, you find yourself facing sedition charges. There's a responsibility that they had to take, and I'm not saying that this is forgivable, right? Because this has been a rough year for many people, and lots of instances, to include, social injustice and those that are underserved being marginalized. There's so many opportunities to radicalize yourself if you just sit behind your computer. So while I'm not absolving responsibility, I don't know that it's particularly their fault. All of us are looking for answers, and they followed an ideology under the flag of lack, right? We're all seeking something. They just went about it the wrong way and guilty. This happened to me in so many ways. And for watching this and haven't seen me in 10 years, you're like, Chris, you're radically and dramatically from where I was 10 years ago. But I got to that point when life just wasn't working for me. Before 40, and I knew that if I didn't do something radical and change how I was operating, then it could be dead, right? And there's really no point in going on. So I kept searching for more, and if it's not working, I'm going to fix it. I get that there's also advantages because I'm blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white, and charismatic. But there's a shift, and I want to emphasize that these people on either side, whether it's been QAnon or Antifa or MAGA or Biden-Harris, or for those of us that are in the middle, we're just trying to feel whole. We all are. So I want to build this community where people have an opportunity to find themselves via self-guided tools, tips, tricks, exercises, things that I've used over the last 47 years, to be frank, to touch my higher self, to listen more closely to that inner voice and to really feel it. There's an opportunity for us to govern ourselves within our own hearts. We can be our own leader, and we can find our own answers, and we can do it together. So I want for us to go inward, and I can teach you how I did that. That's what this community is. So there's a series of exercises, videos that I've compiled, and truth be told, I was working on this well before the pandemic even started. So this is going back to March, and I was writing and building out a course. So I've got like 65 of these exercises, and some are going to work well, some aren't. They haven't been tested. This group is the petri dish, if you will, around how to live well. I mean, I think there is a science to it, right? So whether it's transpersonal psychology, inner exploration, working on being our best possible selves. And of course, you have to start to identify. You can't eat the elephant all at once. So we'll do some meditation, certainly along the way. There's an opportunity to look at the shadow self, embracing your dark side, and recognizing that for as much as we all want justice, right, and how we at least interpret justice, that the opposite side is injustice. And if we don't understand what injustice is, justice doesn't exist, right? There's a relativity that we can discuss. There's the pleasure versus philanthropy. There's being able to identify our best possible selves. Goal setting is something that we can talk through a little bit as well. I'm not a big believer in SMART goals, but there certainly is being able to imagine, and how I do this, this better version of yourself, and lean into that, and then be able to build a plan or to execute upon that plan. Forgiveness, empathy, developing a personal meaning, gratitude, being in a flow state. There's just so much, and I want to share this with you. So the reason that I'm charging $20.21, and this is on a monthly basis, is not necessarily because I'm trying to make money. And there's courses that are $5,000, $7,000, $1,000 that are going to cover much less material than what we're going to cover this year. But this 2021, as with anything that I'm doing this year, 10% of any proceeds that I have via retreats, via one-on-one work, group work, this, etc., is going to be split between two different parties. That's going to go to effective altruism is the actual name of the organization that applies this. It's like giving well. So 5% will go there, and then 5% of all proceeds will go to the Red Earth movement, which is operated by a friend of ours, a friend of the community that lives outside of San Diego, who is teaching individuals, families, and communities how to re-indigenize the land. And it's a fascinating cause. So I want to be able to support that. And Slack isn't free, right? So I want to make sure that I cover my cost in terms of Slack, and then the rest of it's going to go into building the community and creating other collateral, as well as offering scholarships for those that aren't able to afford or are just tight on money, because some of us are. So if you are one of those who you're not in a position to pay or pay full, just reach out to me directly and let me know, and we'll figure that out. So to that end, there's a couple of things that I want to discuss before we tie this up. We have an opportunity today to grow from this slave state and a child state and move towards independence and responsibility. What is responsibility? For many years, to me, that was a dirty word. But when we break it down, and this is an oversimplification, but it's responsibility, the ability to respond. Each of us brings something unique to the table. And with that, we do have an opportunity to be of service to others. And you may not know. It took me time to figure out what is it that I should be leaning into that's really going to bring meaning and purpose and make me feel like I'm living a worthwhile life. We'll uncover that. And in doing so, we have a chance to really build a true democracy. Now, I'm taking a 200 or 300 year perspective here, and I know that's a little bit out there, but I'm not under the illusion or delusion that everything is going to change tomorrow, right? There's too much polarization for that to happen. But we can, by facilitating conversations, not just with each other and those that aren't necessarily like-minded, but to facilitate and have these conversations inside of ourselves. This is where true and lasting change happens. As within, so without. Out of the one came many, out of the many came one. In the course of civilization, right, there's not necessarily been any one republic or government that's lasted. We have an opportunity to do so. It's just not going to be a ready-made miracle and descend from the sky. We can build a government that is by the will and in the interest of all the people as one people. This comes when we learn to disidentify ourselves from other aspects. Like, well, I'm not this shirt. I still feel like Chris if I'm not wearing this shirt, or I'm not wearing these rings or bracelets. If I cut my hair, I still feel the same. So we're going to learn how to shed identities as well along the way, hopefully. Not every exercise is going to work for you, but I suspect that a few of them will, and I will be here to support, as well as other members of the community, to create and increase this dialogue inside of ourselves with each other, and then of course as we go out into the world. The fundamentals are excellent for us to be able to really lean into self-government and true democracy. But the preferences and prejudices and the unchecked weaknesses of the people are not allowing for us to practice these fundamentals. And there's no one or only a few people that are to be blamed for the mistakes of the past. We didn't just get here over the last 4 years, right? This has been going on for decades. But all of us should be blamed if the mistakes continue. And right now, I accept responsibility for what happens next. The mistakes can be corrected by all of us who begin to regulate ourselves, who take on some form of self-inquiry and self-examination, identifying weaknesses or where we would typically have outbursts of passion or radicalization, whether that's at home or externally. Not by suppressing them, but by acknowledging them and learning how to remove attachment from these identifications. So each of us will be developing our feelings and our desires into our own bodies, into a real democracy, a real democratic self-government. We can do this today. We can get started. We can build something that will last through the ages, because it will be based on the purposes or principles of truth, disidentification, knowledge, justice, rightness, reason, love, a feeling and desiring is beauty and power. Like the self-government by God, if you believe in God, or super consciousness, if that's where you lean. But under the supreme intelligence of the universe is the long view. That's what I want to do in this community. So come along, join me, follow me. I will show you a way. This is for the person who has made mistakes in their life and are looking for a way out and how to forgive themselves. There is relief. Let's learn how to truly live and live well.